Yep, I'm ready.
User in your channel started recording.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Tony Groves, William Gibson. Hey, welcome back, Will.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Uh, all right, well, you're on the other side of the continent. You moved from one side to the other. How do you like it so far?
So far not bad. It's been really nice. Very green, a lot greener than I'm used to. See more race car trailers on the freeway, so that's kind of nice. Gotta go to some of these short tracks when I get a chance, but yeah, all in all, I'm really excited. It was a smooth move. Um, Bummed out I missed last week's episode. I packed my computer and everything I needed to do the show with me, except a box of cables I put in a second shipment. So, sorry I had to miss last week, but I'm excited to be back and just a new part of my life. It's all going good right now.
Cool. Yeah, you got to have those cables. They're very important.
Yeah, and I thought about going out and buying some, but I was like, my wife will kill me if I buy cables I already own, and I had like a different monitor which has like some special AC adapters, so I decided not to.
All right, well, cool. Let's jump into racing results. Of course, the NASCAR iRacing Series. We've been at Richmond. Ugh. Let's go through it. Wednesday Open. Chris Scales' teammate finished eighth. He got punted on the last restart, and he called it another dumpster fire. 20 cautions for 100 laps. And then Thursday Open, David 27th with a blown engine for Flowers, and Greg Hectus finished 14th with a damaged car. Chris 19th, had a good race for the most part, but got destroyed with a few laps to go by a guy that a teammate warned me about. I got doored so hard it bent my right front up.
Yeah, I was actually that was actually the day I got my computer back up and I hopped in to kind of help David, Greg, and Chris out, and it was a we kind of got David fell 2 laps down, I believe, and Greg fell a lap down, and we worked our way back up, and then um, David's motor just blew up out of nowhere. We were thinking it might have been the oil pressure getting too high on the restarts, and then I had to hop off shortly after that, but Greg was doing a great job limping it, and Chris was doing amazing. He was top 10 the whole race, and kind of bummed out that he got wrecked out there at the end.
Yeah. And then Tony, you come up with the best start of the week so far up to that point. The next night on Thursday, P7, good run.
Yeah, that was well, that was a garbage race. Half the frickin' laps were under caution. I decided to play the strategy of not qualifying, and I started dead last, and you know, trying to keep myself out of trouble. And well, it worked for the most part. I got rear-ended a couple times. One time put me completely sideways, and I was able to hang on to it, but playing the slow card, it ended up putting me a lap down by the time I got recovered and back up to speed and stuff. But got a lucky dog, and then was able to work my way up the field. And the last run was 20 or 25 laps, and I was able to gain about 5 spots on that last battle. Um, that was the best part of the race for me. It was some good racing those last 20 laps, but up to that point, it was complete garbage.
Sometimes you have to go through that garbage to get to that magical 20 at the end where there's some good racing.
Yeah. I was almost there for a bit, worried that I was gonna end up get disqualified because I think I ended up with like 14 incident points. Um, one of which was definitely my fault. I just spaced out and creamed the wall because I forgot to turn.
Now, I don't know where my notes are. I obviously ran, I think I missed one night and I ran the next night. No, I missed Wednesday. I had to go to a recital for my stepdaughter. That's right. So I missed the race on Wednesday. So and then I had to work Thursday. So that was Thursday night. Chris also ran that night with you. He actually qualified, started top 10, but finished P17. Friday Open, Chris ran again P3, which I think is the best result of the team. With the set that Greg Hectus made, should have been a win, he said. He ran top, for most of the race there. Came from the back twice because the car is too fast on pit road, I guess. And then those guys were all hyped up over the weekend. I mean, what'd you guys see on the Messenger? People are excited for Talladega, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's everyone's excited. They know Talladega's Talladega, and Chris is like, "Hey, I'm gonna get a win here to make up for all the wrecks I'm gonna have to deal with in the meantime." But it's exciting to see everybody hyped up for that race.
Yeah, so Greg, Chris, and David, they rolled out of bed early Sunday morning and ran the Open at Richmond. Greg got a P6, uneventful race, went to the back like usual, and then back to the front. Chris, he said he had a good chance to steal the win today from the bottom split. Started 2 laps down because the PC froze. Got those 2 laps back, was running P4, running the fastest laps on the track by far. Just my luck dodging squirrels when the race ran out. And then David Flowers mentioned he got DQ'd due to other bad drivers. And then the final event Sunday night, I ran P6. You can't believe how up and down this race was. I was running not too bad, like, I don't know, mid-pack or so. I got caught up in a wreck with 4 minutes, 30 seconds damage. There were so many cautions that I got it all fixed eventually. I was doing, 15, 20 seconds every caution. So you do the math. I mean, that's a lot of cautions, a lot of getting that 4 minutes fixed. I was 27th, last car on the lead lap, and a caution came out 10 to go. It had been a 40-lap run. I stayed out with 2 others and restarted P3. Everyone else pitted for tires after that long run. And there was 4 or 5 to go when the green came out, and I finished P3. Restarted P3, finished P6, actually. But after being wrecked and having all that damage and being slow and being dead last on the lead lap, and then all of a sudden I finished 6, 10 laps later, it's like unbelievable. How could I even do that?
It kind of reminds me of the race you had earlier this year at California, where you were at the back most of the race and dodged some wrecks at the end and made up a lot of spots. That's definitely the best way to save points as the season goes on, is to capitalize on those rough races.
It was all the strategy was what got me that spot. And the other part of it, the other 2 guys that stayed out with me was a girl, Katie Haight, who's really fast, and Ryan Eckstein, and they finished 1-2. And so they actually held their position and finished 1-2, even though I faded from 3rd to 6th. I had everybody behind me had tires, and so there's no way I was going to keep 3rd. But man, that was up and down emotionally. You're like, man, I'm going to have a bad result, and I'm going to get, beaten up here. I'm last car. I'm the slowest car out here. And I was telling, Chris, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to finish 27th if I pit now and get tires. But if I don't pit and the caution comes out, maybe I'll get a better spot. So why not? Chris, he ran that night. He got wrecked a few times, DQ'd out right at the end too, which is a bummer. P18, 5 laps down after running with the intentional wrecker from earlier. The DQ was with 30 laps to go. So that was Richmond. I'm kind of glad it's over. Even though I got a P6, I'm happy with that. I had to take a bye for the Open. I didn't get a result. Let's jump to Road to Pro. Tony, you ran with me that night. We ran the trucks at Richmond, and you had a blown engine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once again, like my both my races at Richmond were just they were crap. Like they were just garbage races. Just you spend the whole time pacing, um, and there's just so much crap going on the track. You just can't dodge it all. And boy, was I trying, and it really sucks because I like Richmond the track. I love racing it. Such a fun track. Um, but it is what it is, right?
It blocks up quick. Yeah, Chris also had a blown engine. I did finish P19. I was involved in many incidents, tons of cautions. I think I was right up against the DQ limit. Will, you finished, or you ran some official after you got your rig set up. Tell us you got a result there in limited late models at Eldora.
Yeah, so first race back, I did a couple practice laps beforehand, but I hopped into a limited late model race, and I think it was a little over 40 people signed up, so that was kind of exciting. Made top split. Car number 10 though, so I wasn't expecting a whole lot, and was second quickest in practice, qualified, I believe, third, and was battling for third the whole race. Great racing, had a 0x, which was a sigh of relief because I feel like my last few dirt races were a little rougher than that. But second place kind of took himself out on the last lap, and I kind of just settled in third place. I could have dive bombed in, try to get second, but I was happy with P3, and then gained a ton of IR, which felt really good. So it's good to be back for sure.
All right. And of course, Talladega started this week, and one of the few times I'll run A open or A fixed. And so I've been running A fixed earlier today. I ran and wrecked out on lap 17 in a big one. Some guy got down on the apron. He came back up and took out the field. And you know, as they come down towards turn 3 and he's down there on the apron, if you put on the brakes, you're not going to come back up into the track if you try to stop. The guy didn't have any intention of trying to stop. He was trying to fade back up, and he overjudged it and just took out the entire field. And yeah. And then later I ran again, finished P2. Early I got blinked out. I had the server go red on the right side, and then all the cars jumped in the air, and I got thrown off the track. And so I went straight to the back. I ended up moving it back up to the front eventually, and made it up to P2. I got a caution, and after the caution, I somehow restarted 15th and worked my way up. And I was in position to make a move, but I just didn't make the right move. It was just a botched attempt. It was my first, position this week to be in, put myself in that position. But man, it feels good to put myself in that position, to see that I still have that I can get to the front in a restrictor plate and contend for a win. And man, that just feels awesome.
Yeah, so with all the excitement on the team messenger, Chris Scales was tossing out memes left, right, and center, and I got to say I joined in the fun too. But he was really trying to rally the troops last night to do the A Open race at 8:30, and so I took him up on it, and we did a little bit of practicing beforehand to see what we got a couple different sets to choose from to see which one's working the best, and go to start up, and well, where'd Chris go? Um, turns out he went into an open practice and forgot to actually register for the race. So I got left running that open race by myself last night. Really, really good race. I started from the back, dead last, and I I finished P9, but had it wasn't a fuel issue right at the very end, I was sitting P5. The car wasn't any better than that for that race, but some really good racing like the whole race. Wasn't too many cautions, and had some nice three wide action. Everybody was able to hold their lines and stay out of trouble. It was a lot of fun.
Good. After all that, you had some fun. That's good. Well, tonight is the Peak Series at Richmond as well, 9 p.m. Eastern, right after the recording of the podcast here. Should be interesting. Can Ryan Lusa make it 3 in a row? Who knows? But I'll probably put it on and watch it. I am going to try to run some more A Fix tonight, maybe A Open. Now, when I went to run earlier today, I wanted to run A Open. There were 2 registered, 2 people. And then I waited 15 minutes, and in A Fix, 28 were registered. And so that was a huge difference. I was kind of surprised by that.
It kind of surprises me every time we get to these super speedways just how popular they are. Um, Maybe because I'm just not a big fan of them. But yeah, it just amazes me like they're so popular and they all seem to kind of end a disaster for most people, but people just love those races.
Yeah, so it should be a Wreckfest tonight, I would guess, with the Peak guys. I can't imagine it'd be any different. All right, well, let's jump into topics. Will, you got the first one.
Yeah, so iRacing is looking for volunteers. I kind of noted guinea pigs as well. Randy Cassidy posted in the forum saying that iRacing is looking for volunteers that are having connection issues. So if you're having connection issues quite often, can generate a Wireshark packet during your session and are willing to give those packet captures for analysis to iRacing, you're definitely the guy or gal they're looking for. So yeah, if you're having issues and you're pretty tech savvy, I would definitely reach out to Randy Cassidy on the forums so they could try to hopefully fix the sim for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to be one of those guys that's really having a problem. And what they're doing, if you read into it more, they got to start a trace or a recording of what's going on their end when you report it, and they're going to do it real time. And so when you report it that they have a problem, there's going to be some kind of reporting mechanism. There will be a team of people at iRacing, and any one of them 24 hours a day will take a moment and log in and start the trace, so to speak. And so they'll have data from their side, they'll have the data from the side of the sim racer. They'll get those together and analyze them and try to figure out what's going on. And so they have one guy, I think, so far that's actually helped them out. And man, they need more help. We need to get some more people that have problems and get this documented, so they can address it. And so he says connection issues means the Q bar meter goes all the way to the red for many seconds on end, generally leading to a disconnect. So if that's what's happening, you can reach out to support@iracing.com is how they want you to initiate it, actually, and you can tell them you want to help with the connection issue thing. All right, Tony, what's next?
Yeah, iRacing threw up a post on their Twitter, having a little fun with the about the forums there. Nice little post, license, how do you spell it? Just kind of showcasing the many variations of how to spell that word. I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi myself, and I tend to bite my tongue when I see misspellings. So this one took my OCD and kind of drove me a little nuts. But it's funny. It's fun, and everybody makes those silly mistakes.
Well, doesn't the UK's guys spell it differently over there across the pond? I don't know. But regardless, it's kind of interesting that they've had some issues with the forums or they've made some changes and then they decided to kind of poke at it, I guess. But
yeah, and that stupid license word is one of the what is definitely one that gets spelled wrong a lot of the times.
Yeah, so they have taken the forums down for maintenance. They've done it earlier today, actually. It came down. We don't have that documented here, but they are tracking. They've got a running list of what they're working on, including partial image loading when clicking on image attachments, 504 errors on large threads, connection close errors, image thumbnails not displaying, uh, Craig's dual login issue, signature image issues, and stuff like that.
I find this kind of interesting because I've not noticed any of those issues. Have you guys?
I haven't actually.
I've signed up to get alerts when certain people post. And I don't always get those, but other than that, that's kind of pretty much the only issue I get. But I don't use the forums that much to really notice.
Right. All right, I'll take the next one. Mitchell DeJong. Remember, he is on fire right now in the sim racing world. But in GRC and Formula One, you know, you name it. He actually posted up a picture on Twitter of his, what he calls the sim cave. And it's his man cave where he's got 2 simulators, not one, but 2 set up. He has a separate computer station over on the other side. He's got all his racing helmets hung up on the wall, like about 10 of them. A couple of electrical guitars and so forth. Looks like a couch as well. What do you guys think? Looks pretty nice.
Yep. This is like man, you look at it and you're just drooling. Like he's looks like he's got an Obutto set up just to is that just to watch TV or it's kind of hard to tell at this angle, but
If you
um
zoom in, you can get a good look. The one on the left is a single screen cockpit. It's the Obutto Revolution, just like I have. And it looks like that one is set up for VR. And he's got a dirt car as the screensaver, so I think that's his dirt rig. And then the rig over on the right is obviously his Formula One rig. And it's
yeah,
got a proper racing seat and everything.
yeah, and then also like right behind all that, it looks like another triple monitor setup with just like one of those sim racing desk chairs. Um Geez. Yes. Hello. Thank you. I would love this.
Yeah, he's got quite a setup here for sure.
Yeah, when I first saw the 2 rigs, it kind of reminded me of like when I was a kid and I had like the official PlayStation controller for me, and then like that third-party knockoff I let friends use. Is kind of what I first thought when I saw it.
Yeah, this is my rig nobody touches, and then this is for everybody else. Yeah. I was just speculating that, you know, one's for dirt and VR and the other one's for Formula One. Yeah, it's triples. Got the best of both worlds. Pretty cool. All right, what's next?
It's like Scott Speed is back. He posted on his Instagram a pic of him sitting in a rig with iRacing in the background holding a rock star.
He's back. Okay, so he didn't get banned. I guess he just got suspended when he purposely ran that guy off the road a few months ago.
Yeah, now I saw another post. Now I can't remember where I saw it, and I should have linked it and put it on the page. But it was Scott Speed at the iRacing headquarters.
Yeah, we
There's
got that. That's the next link in the notes.
ah ha ha busted.
Yeah, so that was earlier today that he twittered that out, and he said he's here at iRacing headquarters with Nim Cross, and it's a picture of him with Nim Cross on the left side there. I don't know who the other guys are though in the background, but you can see a couple sim rigs in the background as well as an iRacing racing suit, you know, a real life one hanging on the wall.
I think it's funny he's able to kind of. I feel like he's laughed at himself saying he's with the chief steward of iRacing.
And he puts it in quotes.
Yeah, I'm sure they've had discussions in the past.
Well, that's the guy who would have banned him, or, you know, suspended him, I should say. So Scott is back, GRC is gone, and he's obviously in that other rallycross division or series now. And, you know, I still haven't seen iRacing post anything officially about GRC.
Yeah, it's really odd. I feel like that's something I think if I was in charge of the company, I would want to be ahead of to keep confidence with the users. If there's people that are subscribing that want to do the pro GRC, or if that's their real hobby or interest, to hear the partner iRacing has basically gone under would be nerve wracking. I really feel like people would want to or I feel like they would want to get in front of that to keep people's confidence of like, hey, don't worry, this isn't going away. We're still doing this. We're still doing that. Partnerships may change, but we're still pushing forward no matter what. So I'm surprised they haven't really said anything.
Yeah, it's been 7 days. And nothing. And I think, the other thing is, isn't the main event coming up like in the next couple weeks? It starts the the actual pro series.
I've kind of lost track a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
think
be
it was
surprised.
mid-May or early May.
Yeah, it's got to be coming up really soon. So
Right. So the timing is very suspicious that they haven't said anything and say, hey, we're going to continue with this, but there isn't going to be a prize. Or maybe they're out there looking for a replacement sponsor or something. Who knows? I don't know. All right. What's next?
yeah, Tyler Hudson posted up in the forums looking for a vice for the 2018 season 3 schedules. I believe he reached out to the Advanced Mazda super late models. I
No,
believe
that was just a sampling. That was probably, he reached out to every single series there is.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so yeah, if you run a dedicated series that you really like, and if you have a small community going, now's your chance to kind of speak up and reach out to Tyler for any scheduling advice as far as what track, distance, length, all that fun stuff. So I
Yep.
think it's really cool iRacing does this, and Tyler takes the time to reach out and kind of get what the community wants because they're the ones running these races.
And they were doing exactly what the community is, putting to them typically, unless it's not, out of line or something. But, the other thing I saw was on the 360 dirt winged, there was talk of, well, we really don't like heat racing on this particular car. It's not working. A lot of people are saying that. And Tyler's like, okay, if that's what you guys want, then you guys as the community need to come up with that and submit it to me, by May 5th, so we can put the schedules together.
Yeah, that might be more of a car count issue with that series or something. And being lower power, it's probably a little less racy than say the 410. But yeah, now's the chance to speak up and kind of get the things you want going for the series you like.
All right, I got the next one here. We got us a comment here from on SoundCloud, actually, from a listener named Gafftastic, and he said, "Do you guys think we're still going to get the Subaru Rallycross car now?" That's a good question. That was certainly something they were working on.
I wouldn't. I don't know why they would stop doing that because even if Global Rallycross is gone, I'm sure they'll pick up another sponsor or something. Something different will happen. But I feel like overall, it will be good promotion for Subaru. And I'm pretty sure they're probably the ones who get the funds from whatever percentage they get when we buy the car. So I think it'd be silly for like Subaru or iRacing to kind of stop that. Because I think that would be
look at
exciting
Subaru's
car.
perspective, though. They just changed series. They're in a different rallycross. And then all of a sudden, their Subaru comes out in what? The Global Rallycross series, which doesn't even exist anymore, on iRacing. And, it's got branding all over it. It's got red, when you look at iRacing dirt, rally, you see Red Bull everywhere, it's signage everywhere. And so I'm wondering if that's why iRacing hasn't come out with anything. Maybe they're behind the scenes trying to work out a deal with this other series. I mean, who knows? I have no idea.
And I was kind of thinking earlier today, it seems like participation has really bottomed out in those GRC races. Obviously when it first came out, like there was 500-600 people per race, but there was a race I think at Iowa today that nobody was registered, and I was really surprised. I think having the Subaru will really kind of spark that. And actually, Crypto Nick on our YouTube chat said people love Subarus. It'd be dumb for them to leave it out. So I'm kind of in line with what he has to say. I think that's something like iRacing needs to get together, whether there is a series backer or not.
Well, lots of questions. Okay, what's next? That's you, Tony.
Okay. Wow, empty box video sparks some conversation on the forums. YouTuber Empty Box posted a video on his opinions on SR incident points and the license system, and it caused a bit of an uproar in the iRacing forum. Go figure. The thread under general off topic called "Because of Empty Box's latest tirade" is now 33 pages long. And it's the place to go if you want to enter the discussion. Now, I did kind of peek through some of these. I think it was when it was only about 20 pages long, and yeah, well, I mean, everybody's got an opinion on the licensing and incident points and all that other stuff. But they're in a different thread. Somebody posted a poll asking about the incident system and should it be removed. So the poll choices were yes, I'm indifferent, no, and it should be revamped. Well, 48% of the votes were for no, just leave it alone. It's good. And then 25% of the votes went for yeah, totally ditch it.
Wow. I'm
Yeah,
kind of surprised that's high.
Yeah, so am I. Now 23% said it should be revamped, and then trailing far 4% said I'm indifferent. Well, I mean, everybody's got an opinion, and I know personally, I did the poll, and I said it should be revamped. And my reasoning behind that is just slight changes. So, tracks like the short tracks, for asphalt oval. Um, I would really like to see the incident points kind of model closer towards dirt tracks, so that way you can kind of get into somebody and it's not going to just totally trash you, um, because well that's what short tracking is. You are going to get into somebody, um, and keep the same amount of incident points, for the race. But just make it not hurt so much when you do kind of get into somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a different argument for whether you're road racing or if you're oval racing. I think like road racing, the situation arises from off tracks more than anything. Because usually in most road cars, once you wreck it, your day's over instantly.
Right.
And like I've done practices at Spa, and like you just barely go over certain lines, and it's an incident. But then like Watkins Glen turn one, like you could just go way off into Africa there, come back on the track as long as you don't hit the grass, you're good. So I feel like for those people, it's different than it is for us oval people, because I'm kind of the opposite of what Tony says on the dirt side. I feel like it's too lenient on dirt. I actually did a limited late model race earlier today that I didn't mention earlier, but turn one, guy dive bomb, door slam me, kept going. It messed me up a little bit. I kind of saw it come at the last second, but it was a 0x, and I felt it should have been at least a 2x. Obviously that would have hurt me as well as him, but I feel like that's how it should work. But on the asphalt side, it is very, very sensitive. Like sometimes you'll get 4x's for doing next to nothing. So I feel like that's the system they need to kind of fix first, more so than a disqualification.
Side, I'm only racing ovals, so that's what I can speak to. But I feel like it needs to be 15% stronger or so. I mean, I never have to worry. I don't change how I race because I'm worried about losing my A license. It just doesn't happen, and maybe it should. And I'm okay if the penalties were increased more, 15% more. I think I'd be okay with that. And I feel like it's just a little too lenient. But the DQ limit would have to raise with it because I feel like the DQ limits on these oval races are just a little bit too low.
Yeah, and I feel like it they do it as like a one size fits all, which I think is a problem as well because I agree with you definitely like it should punish you more because I was able to get to A license right away and I fast tracked it, did time trials. I once I learned how the system worked, it was really easy to game it. And I feel like you should be scared a little bit of wrecking. Obviously, you're gonna wreck your car and have a bad race, and that alone should be a fear. But
But
yeah, I
that's
do.
but my point is, a person at my level at 3,000 I rating, we don't lose our license, and so that means the SR incident system is ineffective for us anyway.
Yeah, and it's funny because I feel like accidents affect your races a lot more than they affect the lower split. The lower split kind of expect it. I don't know. I feel like it's just a weird system that should definitely be
Yeah, I don't
revamped.
know. And that's why there's 33 pages of this, and it's just mind-numbing to try to read it. And the arguments that go back and forth about who's at fault and the no fault and all that. The other thing that was interesting is the forum, the poll. Look who the author of the poll is. The op, Lance Gomez Jr., the original wrecker himself. Which is kind of funny that he's the one who put the poll up. But that's a blast from the past saying that name. So if you're not familiar with Lance Gomez Jr., yeah, he is a well-documented, known wrecker from the past that was used to run NIS, usually first and second split, and he usually messed those splits up pretty bad most times. Yeah. So anyway, I kind of had a hard time reading it. It is a lot of chatter about what we should do and how we should fix it and what you know. All right, I'll take the next one. Richmond Raceway. Boy, they are awesome, man. This last week with their Chaos crew, the Sim Racers from the Peak Series, got them involved in an event at the racetrack. And I watched this on Facebook Live. And the first part of the event was very odd to me. They had a situation where they were doing a workout and they got the 5 sim racers up there and got them doing push-ups in front of the stage, and the audience was doing jumping jacks and stuff like that. It was a kind of workout routine or something. But
Yeah,
later they got on stage and were able to actually race.
it seems like there's nobody unhappy or anybody really has anything negative to say about the situation. Like, I feel like Richmond Raceway is really ahead of the curve here with their push into esports and iRacing, and I think it's gonna pay dividends for them in the future for sure.
What a setup. I mean, they got a huge stage, they got a huge big screen that they can broadcast so the audience can see what's going on. They got 6 sim rigs or so set up in front of it in a semicircle. And then these are nice rigs. And you can see over on the left all the road cases for those rigs. They're all set up to travel or to be packed up and put away. And it's quite a big setup. Now, what was really kind of a bummer was there were like a dozen people in the audience. When I was watching them do the push-ups, I counted like 11 or 12 people in the audience, and that's it. And this is and this amphitheater they were in is probably set up for about 1,000 people, and they had a dozen.
Yeah, but I feel like it's still really new. I feel like I didn't see
Yeah,
them promote this side of it as much as they probably could have or should have. I didn't really know about it till it was happening, but I feel like I think we'll see a bigger growth or bigger what's the word I'm looking for? Bigger audience and just growth overall next race. I feel like once that snowball starts going, it's gonna definitely grow for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to start somewhere. I believe this is the first time they've done this. Um, yeah, 12 people. That does kind of suck. But like you're saying, well, like, the word will get out. And you know, I'm sure maybe they'll double it next time.
yeah. And then they did do some pretty good press. I mean, the Richmond Times-Dispatch, which is the local newspaper, they did a feature article about Richmond Raceway is the first NASCAR track to field an esports team, with a full-length article. They interview Michael Conti and get some quotes from him, as well as about a little about his history coming up in racing and doing sim racing and whatnot as well. Of course, they talk a little bit about William Byron and his path, because obviously he came from iRacing as well. But some good press for sure. RichmondRaceway.com also did an article about it on their website, and described, what they were doing and everything that happened and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it seemed like they basically had multiple things going on. It looked like they had like a NASCAR Heat 2 set up for the public, and then they kind of had the iRacing and the fitness and stuff kind of all kind of off to the side of that. I feel like as time goes on, if they start phasing out the NASCAR Heat 2 for iRacing, and people could really get a little bit more involved and on a rig there and not using a controller, I think that would definitely help them out as well.
Yeah, you're right. They just need to keep doing it, and the people will eventually come. And the setup they have is great. That setup should be taken and put up at every NASCAR track, not just Richmond. I mean, Richmond's twice a year, so I mean, it looks like it's set up to travel. I mean, like I saw that with the road cases and all that other stuff. So that would be neat if NASCAR would somehow get this in every city that we go to in NASCAR.
That would definitely be a huge help. I don't know whose idea it was at Richmond Raceway. Kind of have a hard time saying that.
Yeah, the track funding it. Yeah, who's funding it?
Yeah, I don't know whose idea that was, but it's a really good idea. But whether it's the NASCAR teams themselves, the other tracks, or even NASCAR doing it, I feel like you're right, they need to have this thing as like track to track to track and watch that thing grow, because I really feel like it's really cool to have a face to the driver.
Yes, that is so big. I was going to say that as well.
Yeah, I believe even RaceBot TV's their last broadcast, they were actually cutting into one of the drivers on a webcam. So I feel like that's a great push for the sport for sure.
Yeah, and there's a picture that was posted on Twitter from at Sim Seats, showing the sim racers on stage, and so you can see them and put a name with a face. And of course, Marcus Richardson is there in the middle, and he's the tall guy. He is super tall, and he really sticks out there, obviously, over these other short guys. But interesting group.
Oh, this is good, and it's almost on a weekly basis that we're talking about NASCAR promoting the esports series in one way or the other. Like a lot of peak antifreeze coverage, and Richmond Raceway, the Chaos Crew is getting a lot of press. So it's just more and more publicity, for iRacing and for this esport. So they really are backing this. And it's gonna go somewhere. It has to.
Yeah, I really like the idea of getting these guys out in the public eye. Putting the name with the face is huge. People like us that are kind of entrenched in the sport of NASCAR and sim racing, we know the names. I mean, I know that's Marcus Richardson because I've used to run with him back in Nordgar League back in the day and whatnot, and I just know who he is, and I follow him on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. So, but other people don't necessarily know the names, those other NASCAR fans out there, because it is a virtual sport. And so it's really important to get those faces out, and to have them there in person, I think, is huge. That's a huge next step, and kudos to Richmond for getting it done. All right, I'll jump to the next one here. Sim Racing Blacklist. Now, this was something that happened on Facebook this last week. I kind of saw happen as it happened, and there was a different Facebook group where this guy posted, man, I just got ripped off by this other guy selling him some sim racing equipment. And um, the thread went on and on. It was in the iRacing flea market. And as people commented, man, I got ripped off by that guy too. And then this other guy said, oh, I have a buddy who got ripped off by that same guy too. This and this happened. Oh, yeah, he ripped my friend off 2 years ago, and so on. And there's all these people that calling the same person out. And apparently he is a well-known fraudster when it comes to buying and selling sim racing equipment. Like you'll pay the guy and then he'll never ship the product. Or he's buying some, I don't know. And so the group kind of came to a consensus, hey, we need a different Facebook group just to list these people because apparently there's more than one of them. So, but this is the guy that kind of started it. His name is Stephen Michael Conway. And I'm not afraid to really put that out there because it's very obvious that he is taken several dozen people for fraud on this. And if you search that name in the forums, you'll see for yourself all the past threads of people that have had a problem with this guy financially. Will, I joined you to the group earlier today. What'd you think about that?
You know, it's funny because I actually saw this post on the iRacing flea market before I saw the other link this morning to the group. But yeah, it was amazing just how many people knew who he was by name right away. And I read through, I think it was like at least 170 something comments. And I read through most of them just bored. I don't even know what I was doing at the time, but it's really cool to have this second group to just kind of keep that in check because I feel like everybody I've met in the sim racing community has been very nice, very generous, very forthcoming. Like they've all been great people, but there's always those bad apples, and if we get those guys picked out, I think it's just good for the community as a whole.
Yeah, and as you read through the thread, there's story after story after story of this particular guy, scamming people. Man, it's just sad.
Yeah, it definitely is, but one thing that caught me by surprise is, I mean, people were on top of it. They knew who he was, where he was from, like they all rallied together, so it really shows you, man, don't do anyone dirty. You'll get caught out for sure.
Yeah, and the posts in the forums with his name on them date back to 2016, 2017. There was another issue, and now here in 2018 again. All right, what's next?
Yeah, so we actually Keegan Leahy posted a setup webinar on Facebook Live. I watched through a little bit of it. I didn't get to watch as much as I would have liked, but it's really cool. Kind of shows how he sets up the VRS sets and his thought process and how he utilizes their telemetry. So if you're interested in learning setups or want to get more involved with telemetry, there's a ton of great content there for sure.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it either. I kind of looked at parts of it. It really looks good information if you're trying to learn how to do setups for sure.
Yeah, and to find it, you just want to hunt down Virtual Racing School's Facebook page under their videos because, yeah, it's definitely something that you're going to have to watch in multiple segments and really take your time to absorb all the information for sure.
Oh yeah, if you just sit down and watch it once, you'll get an idea. But you're right, it's one of those things that you're gonna have to absorb over time. It's a lot of material. All right, what's next?
Rickmatech brought one of their rigs to Homestead Speedway on the 14th and 15th. They were there for the FARA and Trans Am South Florida Challenge, giving people a chance to drive cars from the event around the track that they were at. I guess they had a little competition too. The driver who set the fastest lap won a new tablet. And they even had Ernie Francis Jr., the track record holder, there giving advice to people making their way around.
That's pretty cool. He's right. He's still in his fire suit. He's just kind of hunched down telling her how to get around the track. And what about that rig? I mean, man, those triples, they're like 55-inch triples or something. They're huge. And that whole rig is, the bottom of it is a road case. It's all set up to be packed up and shipped around. And then the computer and stuff is all rack mounted in a rack over on the right with big old snake cables to hook everything together. Pretty nice setup.
Yeah, that thing's gotta be they must have moving that thing down to a science, because I know moving my rig wasn't easy. I couldn't imagine moving something with monitors that big.
They even have a fourth monitor up there on a stand, for the people behind can see, a TV version of what's going on. I don't know if that's a second computer driving that or what.
Yeah, I think that has to be a second computer, but that's really cool, so you can kind of see what's going on outside the car.
So pretty cool. Rick Motec, they're from South Florida, and they do have open houses in their facility down there in South Miami every month, I believe, and you can go in and try their stuff. All right, next topic. I got a letter, or actually an email, from a listener, Adam Baker, and I'm going to read the letter that he wrote here. Hi, all. Just wanted to say I love listening to the podcast, and it gets me through the day at work, especially today when I was having a rough one. A little backstory on my iRacing career so far. I started iRacing back in 2012. I was on summer break from college. I had a lot of fun and wanted to continue playing, but I couldn't really play too much while at school, so I let my membership expire. I came back a few times in between, but I just recently picked iRacing back up again. I've never really had any intentions of progressing out of rookie street stocks because I had so much fun in them. But as I get back into the game, I finally decided that I want to progress into some of the Oval Series races. So I was going through yesterday and looking up the members of the podcast on iRacing, like I assume a lot of people might have done. Then decided later in that day I'd go back and look at the past races I had done when I first started in iRacing. I remember that I had won the first race I'd ever participated in and decided to open up the results of that event and see what I have done those many years ago. I was practicing what seemed like 2 weeks before I ever went into a race, and was also terrified of crashing someone because I had watched some YouTube videos and people didn't seem very forgiving. When I opened up the result of the race, I looked down, and who is the person that finished second to me? No other than Mike Ellis. I can't believe that I have been in a race with you over 5 years ago at this point. I would have never known if I hadn't looked it up. Anyway, sorry for the ramble. Just thought this was super cool. And he actually sent a screenshot of those results from over 5 years ago. And yes, there I am, finished second to Mr. Adam Baker in the street stock pavement.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about throwback, eh?
Yeah, I wrote back and told him it's a small world, I guess.
Yeah,
but yeah, pretty cool.
Looks like he lapped the whole field too, so he did some good practicing.
That's right. Look, I'm a lap down in second. That is crazy. The bulk of my wins were that first year. When I was in the rookie and the licensed D cars and all that. I have 47 official wins or something like that, but like 40 of those are back then. I really, of modern wins in the NASCAR series, I don't have a lot. Maybe a dozen. All right, what's next?
We have a good YouTube video from Ray Alfala doing an interview with VRS, or the Virtual Racing School, and it's a really, really well done interview. You can find it on YouTube under the Virtual Racing School's channel, but they go into multiple topics, basically how his season's going, how VRS helps him, the team, how they're able to share data. He also covers like some more personal topics as far as like his favorite track, his thoughts on the peak schedule, how he coaches via VRS, what's going on with the NASCAR esports program, how his peak team is structured, and all the changes he's seen over the last 10 years. So it's a lot of really good information. I pretty much watched the whole interview start to finish, and it's very well done, very organized, very clean, sounds great. and full of really cool content. So really
Yeah,
cool
good
video.
content. That's what I thought. I also watched the whole thing as well. Um, Lots of information from Ray, and he does talk a lot about VRS and virtual racing school and what it actually is. It's more than just setups that are delivered to you, and that's what a lot of people kind of think. But the software is pretty cool, and I'm kind of glad I watched it because I think I learned more about how it works. Because I'm not a member, um, but I have a teammate that is, so I kind of know about it from what I've heard. Um, but apparently, like he was saying in the team, everybody has got this VRS software installed, and it uploads to the website, the VRS website, your setup, your result, your times, all your telemetry, everything. And so Ray was saying he just logs into the website and he can see the teams and what they ran last race. He can download their setup. He can see their ride heights. He can see their times and how they fell off. There's so much information there, and it's really taken their team to the next level because that's how they're interacting as far as setup changes. They're using it as a tool um, to do that. And I didn't really realize it did all of that. I kind of had an idea of how it works, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it gets to the point where you could actually follow a driver's throttle and brake trace. So if you're losing out to one of your teammates, I mean, you could go in and look at his lap specifically and see exactly how long he's on the throttle, how much brake he's inputting, is he trail braking. So I mean, it really shows you everything you need to see to kind of get up to pace.
Yep. And they have coaching, one-on-one coaching. He talked about that. You can pay him and actually have him personally coach you. And he talked about how to get faster and what is the process and how much effort do you have to put in to take it to the next level. And very good information. Great video. You can find it at Virtual Racing School on YouTube. All right, Tony, what's next?
Yeah, this one's awesome. One of the many reasons why I love this guy. Apparently, Dale Jr. is back in the iRacing atmosphere. He threw up a post, and all it is a meme. It's a John Travolta meme, and he's just kind of looking around. Hey, what's going on here, guys? That's it. Didn't say nothing. Just posted the meme, and um, in a whole topic all on its own.
Brand new topic, just with his meme.
That's it. That's all. So guess what? Junior's back.
All right, at least he's reading the forums. That's cool.
Yeah.
We post the podcast to the forums once a week. Maybe he'll see it.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
He has a good sense of humor because basically what I get from that is like he's back and he has no clue what's going on. I'm sure iRacing's definitely changed a lot since he's been really, really used it.
Yeah, if you click his name, Dale Earnhardt Jr., you see registration date, February 3rd, 2007, and he's posted 18 messages in his forum lifetime. And the last time he posted, 2010. So it's been over 8 years since he posted. Pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, next up, Belle Isle of Detroit is coming to iRacing. This was just announced literally as we were getting ready to record the podcast. Kudos, Will, on grabbing the content here for us to talk about. They did post up, Greg Hill from the Aussie posted up some high-res screenshots. What'd you guys think, man? It looks good.
I'm not too familiar with the circuit. I know it's obviously in Detroit. It's got some history with IndyCar. But these screenshots, they just look phenomenal. The amount of detail, just down to like the patches of concrete that are cut and overlaid, is just phenomenal. Looks like they really put a lot of effort into this. So
there's this one screenshot I clicked on and zoomed in on, and it is a high res. There's like a manhole in the street, and it looks like they covered it in concrete, and it's all cracked. That particular patch, and it's amazing the detail, that's involved here. You can tell it's really a scan.
That was the first thing that was the first picture that I clicked on to look at, and that was the first thing that popped out at me. I was like, "Oh, no way! It's a freaking manhole cover that's been kind of paved over and drove over a few times." Um, yeah, this stuff just doesn't cease to amaze me anymore. Um, but it's such awesome eye candy. The iRacing always seems to do a pretty darn good job of these tracks.
Now, with a street course like this, you'd almost expect it to be like the Long Beach release, where remember they didn't do the buildings, they just did the track, and it's like half done.
This probably has to do a little bit more with the fact that they're using more drones and stuff of that nature to capture those footage and shots. I wouldn't be surprised if those drones kind of help make this track possible, and not be one of those tech tracks like Long Beach.
Yeah, it does appear to be a finished product. That's what I'm trying to say. So will I buy it? Probably not. But if you're an IndyCar, you might like that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, this feels like the first new circuit or thing they've really done for roads since as far as tracks go, since Snetterton. So
Yeah,
it's been a while. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
So we had some media coverage of iRacing this week. NASCAR.com kind of did their weekly update as far as what's going on with iRacing. They kind of got a recap of the iRacing and NASCAR world and kind of where they overlapped. Will Byron tweeted he joined a race and got paired with none other than Kyle Larson. So got two NASCAR stars in one official race, it looked like.
That's pretty cool, man. How'd you like to be in that race? So Williams Grove, Clay Oval. I don't know what track it was, or what car it was.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but yeah, no, that's really, really cool. Just imagine just being like a fan of either one of those, or it's probably so rare for users to get paired with NASCAR drivers, and then to get two in the same race.
Yep. Cup drivers, yeah.
Yeah, then you have Daniel Suarez was driving the Richmond Raceway Simulator. It's a full cockpit car. I don't know if they are using VR, if they have monitors inside. But yeah, it's a full-size cup car that they're using as a rig.
One note is the paint job of that full cup car that Daniel's sitting in is none other than the Trading Paints paint job of Logan Clampett from the Peak Series. That's his paint job on that car. So that's pretty cool. I think that they took a sim racing paint, a unique sim racing paint, and actually put it on a real race car. Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, that is it's phenomenal. I couldn't imagine growing up playing racing games and then getting to a point where your sim racing paint job is on a real life race car. That's
right.
That's really cool.
That's a first, right? Yeah, pretty cool. So Steve Lavender from Trading Paints is actually the author of this article. He obviously has a job working for NASCAR.com as an author.
Yeah, it's really nice how they're kind of overlapping the iRacing world and the NASCAR world and really showing how much these NASCAR drivers use this product. And excuse me.
All right, Tony, what's next?
Dirt racing news site onedirt.com had a great article about how iRacing is changing the dirt track game. It went over the history of dirt racing simulators, and the writer Ben Shelton um, talked about his first endeavor commentating and calling a virtual race. It's a really intriguing article. I just kind of quote him a couple times. He says somebody asked him, hey, you want to come and commentate one of these virtual races, and they ultimately kind of saying, I don't, very reluctant at first. He said, what the hell, you love trying new and different stuff, so give it a shot. And he was told in advance, like, you're gonna be blown away by this because the realism is through the roof, and we have some really really good drivers that take part in these races. Um, he goes on to say, not that he didn't doubt it, but he's a little apprehensive to buy into the concept. But he goes on to say, as it would turn out, he was spot on. Um, it's a really good read. And basically at the end of it, he had a blast. Calling this race, and was blown away by the quality of driving, and how the cars reacted on the track, and how the track changes throughout the race, and everything us iRacers have been able to experience. This guy kind of sitting on the outside looking in got to see it, and was really thrown for a loop.
Yeah, so he's a real dirt announcer who got asked to announce a virtual race and then loved it. Yeah, pretty cool. I also read this article, and the quote right at the end: "As a professional broadcaster, I find it especially intriguing because I can make money announcing races from the comfort of my home. There's no rainouts, there's no overhead, there's no long drives home. Throw it all together, and iRacing's dirt track expansion is definitely changing the game." And so he's looking at it as maybe a potential career opportunity. He's going to become a dirt track announcer virtually somehow. Pretty cool. All right, let's go into hardware software. Running out of time. Rob Crouch from Australia posted up in the forums a post called "Automatically Highlight Your Row in Event Results." And he posted up a picture of a race results, and it has a big old yellow highlight across the line where he is. And it's a Tamper Monkey extension for the Chrome browser that you can install that he wrote. And so if you go to that web post, you can download the extension for Google Chrome or Firefox that will highlight your row in the entries. Now, this is kind of nice. I don't know that I'm going to take the moment to actually install it, though.
That's hey, good on him. And I could see a lot of people using it. Why not, right? I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I don't think I'll put that extension. I try not to keep any extensions on my
Right.
browsers, but it's nice to be able to have this option. And it looks like it works well.
Yep. All right, Will, what's next?
So it looks like we have some pedals from Ricmotech. They're floor mount Willwood 3 pedal set. And they are some nice looking pedals for sure.
Yeah, these have been around, but I thought we should bring them back up again because these are obviously an option on the marketplace. Price $1,075. And 3 pedals. It has a base plate, floor plate, so to speak. And boy, if you're looking for high-end pedals, these are definitely something you should look at,
Yeah,
It's got a proper clutch pedal, too.
Yeah, and it looks like it's hydraulic, but the thing that really stands out to me is the throttle pedal. It is a big, like, you could put a definitely shoe on that thing. It's a big floor-mounted pedal. My dad used to have
Physically big.
My dad used to have an old like 66 Kenworth water truck at our dirt track, and it reminds me of the pedal on that thing. It's humongous.
Yeah, very nice. If you're looking for a hydraulic pedal, there's not a lot of choices, but this is one of them, and a lot of people forget about. Always people talk about, HPP and the other guy, I forget the name, Hungsveld. Yeah, that's it. But everyone forgets about Ricmotech, so don't forget about them. All right, Tony, what's next?
You caught me sleeping. A
This is the
setup
one
viewer.
Greg was excited about.
Okay. Yeah, and I just opened it up, so I don't really know what's going on here.
It's a setup viewer. I sent a picture of it. If you click the link at the bottom of the post, you'll see a picture of it. You download it. The website is called mysimracingapps.ratbrat.net. And this guy made a little executable that will basically, what you do is you export your setup from iRacing into an exportable, and then this app will read it, so to speak, and show it to you visually on the screen outside of the sim. And you can see what the tire pressures are and your setups. You can see the setup. And it's all made smaller so you can see it all on one screen without scrolling, which is something that's very annoying within the sim because you have to scroll to see the whole thing.
Yeah, it looks like you could even pair two setups side by side and compare.
Yep, compare. That's the big one.
That's got to make changing and doing setups so much better. That's something I use iAnalyze, and they have a way you could look at it, but you do have to kind of scroll, which is kind of a small pain. This is amazing. I think the only thing, if it printed that page out, that would be like the bee's knees right there. That thing's really cool.
Yeah, maybe it does. I haven't tried it though. But Greg was going to try it, I think, and to report back what he thought about it. So maybe next week we'll have a report from Greg. But he was really excited about this, that you could, see them side by side without scrolling and do a comparison and see what's, different. All right, next up. Yeah, I'm lost. Oh, yeah, here we go. Once again, we sold out. Protosimtech.com is another company that puts out pedals. Now they have a different kind of pedal, $400 plus shipping, US dollars. And these are not hydraulic, but not a bad price for $400. They look really nice. And they do them in batches. And so apparently every time they do a batch, they sell out. So that's what they announced on the website and in the forums. Hey, we sold out in 4 minutes. And so that's how fast it happened. They went on sale, and 4 minutes later, they were gone.
That's phenomenal. I don't know how big their batches are, but that's really cool for them. I think it's good that there's more companies making these products, and it seems like the costs are coming down. Because those are some really nice looking pedals, and I know that's going to be my next investment on my rig, is some good pedals, because just those hitting those breaking points.
Chris Smith from Virginia is the guy who's running that company. He said there's 42 per batch, but that's what they have to make as far as their CNC machine can make. That's the max they can do at once, apparently, per sheet. So they have a CNC machine that, they build these with. That's pretty cool. All right, what's next?
I was scrolling through the forums, and I found this. It's a YouTube video embedded into the forum, and basically it says a race team with a little too much money, and I don't know what kind of car it is. Definitely a road car of some sort, but they set that up as a simulator. They got huge triples in front of it. Now this is the full car, at least the shell, but
looks like a Lamborghini or something.
Yeah, I'm not very good with these type of cars to be able to pick them out what kind of car that is, but now this is a full motion rig. It's a quick video, a little 45-second. But yeah, so you actually get in the car. It looks like, it almost looks like it's a full car. I'm sure they don't have a motor and stuff in there, but everything else is full out. You look out through the windshield to see the triple monitor setup. As far as setups go, this one's pretty crazy.
A little over the top. The triple's outside the front of an actual race car.
Yeah, I mean, like we got to be talking like 60-inch friggin' monitors, triple monitors, to get that. But yeah, a little too much money. I have a little too much money. I think so. I'd love to have that problem.
That's crazy, man. I think we've seen like every kind of rig you can think of, and then the next week comes and we see something we haven't seen before.
Yeah, Yeah, like we saw that one where that guy built a, was it an F1 cockpit, and it was like almost the whole car.
Yeah.
But this one I gotta say, like that guy built it himself to scale, and it looked really well. But these guys just use a whole freaking car. Um, yeah, what's next?
I will. Now what's next?
Yeah, we got some a post actually from David Tucker talking about the new Fanatec McLaren GT3 steering wheel. I actually saw people getting this because I know we talked about it in the past. They were doing pre-orders and it looks like they're starting to ship these things out. But yeah, he said he doesn't usually like to promote particular products. But he says with the dual clutch system, it works very well with the sim. It sounds like. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to read into any more detail on it, but um, I know the dual clutch system has been kind of a thing we've talked about the last few weeks, and this seems to be like one of the first manufactured wheels from a major company that has it. So if you're really into road racing and want to go that route, it looks like a great option.
Yeah, and because of the way the hand paddles are configured, you can act. This is a perfect wheel for somebody who can't use pedals. So that's handicapped in some way. And he mentions that it's really good for people in that situation as well. You can use that dual clutch thing as a throttle brake apparently, and remap them.
That's actually really cool. I'd never thought of that, but yeah, there is definitely a lot of racers out there that unfortunately can't use pedals. That's a really smart use of those.
Yep. Yeah, but and pretty neat that David Tucker, who works for iRacing, has actually did a proper review of this. It's a nice long post where he types out everything he thinks about the wheel. And if you're interested, I mean, looking at the pictures of it on the website at fanatec.com, it's only $170, and it looks nice. I mean, it's got carbon fiber on the front and all these buttons and stuff, and I mean, knobs and everything. It's a Formula One kind of style look to it.
Yeah, it almost looks. I mean, it looks really good, but once you see the price, it's like you almost feel like it's too cheap for how nice it is.
Yeah, when you look at it, I would guess this is at least $500. You're right. Quick release system, Yeah, pretty cool. All right, I'm going to take the final topic. It's our old buddy Ty Majeski, the highest I rating oval guy on the service. Guess what? He's back in victory lane. He won in the iRacing Ford. They had 8 inches of snow the day before the race, and they were still able to get the race in, and he won it. So pretty
Yeah,
cool. He hasn't had a lot of great runs yet in that Roush Fenway Xfinity car that he's been sharing with Chase Briscoe and that other guy.
yeah. I was gonna say I think he only has two, maybe three starts this year. I think he has a lot more races kind of middle of summer, so hopefully he starts having some success there. Because I think it's really cool to have somebody carry that iRacing banner forward.
Yeah, this race he won is a super late model, actually at the Dells Raceway Park. It was called the Icebreaker 100. All right, that's final topic. Let's get a final thoughts. Tony Groves, what do you got?
Um, well, I really wasn't sure what to think. After coming off a rough stretch at Richmond, only to come into Talladega. You basically throw the dice down the craps table and see where things land. Um, Definitely had a good start to the week, and hopefully I can, at the very least, stay there with my NIS races. But you know, uh, I love Talladega. So much fun. I almost think I like it better than Daytona. I tend to find a little bit better racing for the super speedways, as much of a crapshoot they are. But hey, let's roll the dice and hope for a nice strong finish in the NIS race I'm gonna do Thursday night. So, um, yeah, that's all I got today.
Yeah, it's a little bit wider at Talladega, so there's a little bit more room to maneuver, you know. All right, William Gibson, final thoughts.
Not a whole lot here. I'm excited to be back on the show. I apologize to everybody who likes to watch the YouTube content that we didn't have it the last 2 weeks, but we're back. And I actually want to shout out Crypto Nick. He's been in our chat this whole time, and he actually let us know Dell Jr. ran 2 races today. In the Dirt Street Stock, it sounds like. So if you want to try to run with Junior, try to check those out. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to be back. It's a new stage in my life, and I feel like I have a phenomenal hobby with some really good people, and I'm glad to be on the team and keep this moving forward.
Well, maybe that's our topic. Dale Jr.'s back. First race in over 10 year or 8 years. All right, my final thought, Talladega, man, I love the restrictor plates. I don't know why I do good there, but I do. And the rest of the time on the other tracks, I'm kind of a mid-pack driver, and I'm not afraid to say that because that's the truth. But boy, when we come to Talladega, I'm a threat to win, and everybody knows it on the team. Everybody knows it, you know, and we talk about it, and I can feel the pressure of like, wow, I need to win now, you know. And then to go out today and run that A fixed and to finish second and be there to make my move for the for the win at the end on the final lap, and didn't quite make it, but at least I had the opportunity, after running dead last. Man, that feels so good. And man, I can't wait to get a win this week. I hope I do. I'm actually going to miss the race Wednesday night. It's my wife's birthday. We're going out to dinner, and I'm going to miss it. But bummer. And but she's always, had her birthday on Talladega week, and I've always had to deal with that. But well, with that, I'll hope to get the win in the fixed at least, and we'll see how that goes tomorrow. All right, with that, we'll see you later.